Brad, can we just touch on Vegas first of all? How much of a buzz has there been around the place after the news this week?
Yeah, it's exciting for the club. Fans, exciting for the league, isn't it? The boys are, we had to get onto it pretty quickly and get a message out and make sure they're all aware of it. But then we had to make sure that we shifted our focus to what's right in front of us, which is tomorrow night. So, club done a good job dealing with it early, last couple of days, and today's all the focus is around, what's ahead of us tomorrow.
Have you personally got a sense of what it could do for the profile of Leeds Rhinos?
Oh, it definitely lifts the profile. A lot more coverage. It looks after all the stakeholders. It sort of gives your fans something already to be looking forward to, something for next year, to start next year. And we're only a third of the way this year. So it definitely keeps the interest in the game and definitely lifts the profile.
Have you ever been?
No, my wife went last year. Last year, the year before, sorry, when Manly were there.
What did she say? Did she enjoy it?
She loved it. Said it was great. Good atmosphere, and the NRL done a great job. Promoting, and you can see it was better again this season. So, yeah.
Does it give you an added reason to stick around maybe for next year?
Yeah, we've just got to keep worrying about trying to improve our game each week, and we'll see how we go.
Diplomatic. What? How have you used the Challenge Cup break?
We took the boys away on a bit of just an overnight camp actually last week. We went up to Lake District, a beautiful area, and we what was it, Old Man Coniston? Is that what it's called? Yeah, we did the walk up there for 4 or 5 hours and had a bit of fun with that, and just spent the night there and had a feed. Yeah, nothing to anything football related. Then we just come back and got into our work training, but it was just a good time to get them away together and spend a bit of time with each other without worrying too much about football. And, it was probably, the timing was good. You don't always get the timing right, but the timing was good on the back of a good, strong performance.
It's already a strong group, isn't it? But is it experiences like that can bring the group even closer together?
Well, that's what it's designed to do. Like there was plenty of banter and chat on the way up the hill, and but I really enjoyed it, and it was a beautiful part of the countryside. But just hopefully those sort of things bring the team together, and you're all about mateship, and that's where you can build it off the field as good as you can build it on the field.
The time between the last two games has allowed Cam Smith, Brodie Croft, and Ryan Hall to come back into the reckoning. Of those three, are they likely to feature all three of them on Friday?
Yep, they'll play. And this is, what the club's been trying to create, is that healthy competition for spots and a bit of depth in the squad. And like I've said in the past, like I don't have to use my words, and it's not about threatening guys. I just think now everyone looks around and knows that, like, where do I fit in and how do I stay in the team, and guys are excited by that, and it just creates good, healthy competition, but it keeps everyone knowing that they've got a job to do every week. You can't afford to have an off week with your attitude or your desire to play.
And it creates an even bigger headache for you in selecting that 17, doesn't it? Is this the biggest headache you've had so far this year?
Yeah, it is. But that's part of my job, and that's the bit that I'll I don't like to deliver disappointment to players, but I like to see their response, and I like to see the dynamics of the group. And a couple of guys, they got a little bit of disappointment this week, handled themselves extremely well on Tuesday with how they trained to help us prepare. And it takes more than the 17 blokes this week to get us through to the end of the year, and that's the bit we're focused on, and having a real club team first mentality. We talked about that right from day one, and now we're getting the opportunity to live it, and it's a test of our character of a lot of players, but in particular the whole group.
Just on that spine, if Croft's coming back in, and obviously you've had quite a few 6 and 7 partnerships and combinations this year, would you say, as it stands, Brad, that Connor and Croft are your most productive partnership at the moment?
Well, they haven't had much time together. I think they've played 40, 80, they've played hardly any game time together. So I need to give them a bit of time. But I would like to think that should be our best combination. But in saying that, like young Sinfield done a really good job for us last week, and you could see just with his back-to-back games, he got better. He's just a a young fella forging his career who just needs opportunity in 4 or 5 games in a row. But he understands where he sits, and he's here to learn. But yeah, those two guys with a bit more game time, training time, and with Lockie there, we haven't had those 3 guys together on the field for very long at all. So, we don't want them to overplay their hand or try too hard. They just need to keep doing what they've been doing and slowly get those combinations and connections stronger and having that level of detail and connection, that they know each other's game inside out. But it's just going to take a bit of time on the field.
That selection headache could get even greater. How far away is Andy Ackers at the moment?
Still a couple of weeks, mate. Still a couple of weeks.
What about Hull then? What's your take on where they are at the moment?
Yeah, they're fighting hard. They're in every game. They make it a real contest. Obviously they like they would have been disappointed with it. John's already said it. Around their discipline in that game. So we're prepared for the best version of them. They've been starting their games really strong, coming after the opposition. They've got a lot of guys playing some good football. They really challenge your line. So we know that we're in for a contest and we know about them, but it's more right now for us. We're starting to establish that identity that we want in the team, and it's becoming more recognisable. So we've got to continue to go down that path for us.
John's picked out Jake Connor as the one to watch for them. Would you be willing to pick out one to watch from Hull?
Look, I think they got quite a bit of class. You can't concentrate too much on one individual, but like Herman's doing a good job with his carries through the middle. They got some strength there. Price has added another dimension to him out the back. So, look, we're quite prepared and aware of how well they're playing.
Just lastly for me, have you got any history with John Cartwright back home? Do you know him well?
Oh, I don't know him extremely well, but I know of John. One of the guys that worked with me at Para for a long, long time, was really good mates with him. Worked with him at the Gold Coast. Got a lot of respect for John as a person, as a coach, and he was certainly a good player too in his day.
Just wanted to ask about Elliot Wallace. He's not in the squad this week. I believe he's still there. How's he getting on?
Yeah, look, he just needs some reps. He just needs some consistency. He's liking the level of intensity that we're training at, and he's getting a lot of training reps against some, quality opposition, which he's enjoying. So it's just, look, he came here looking for an opportunity, and we've given him that at the moment. And a good thing for us right now is we're reasonably healthy, but he'll get an opportunity to play in the reserves at some stage. I think in a week or two we've got a game coming up, but at the moment, he's just enjoying the training.
Is it more of a trial period for him?
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah. No, good stuff. And just on, I think we spoke recently about playing with 3 middles and the advantages of that. Where does Cam Smith fit in now he's back?
Yeah, Camel, he's been out for a long time, so our expectations of him this week aren't too high in terms of game time and minutes. He'll come off the bench. He just, like you can see with Callum, we started last week. He just, both between Callum and Cam, they give you that link between the forwards and the edges. Those good guys that with good pass and get some shape on, good work rates. It just gives me flexibility. Like I'm very fortunate we've got flexibility. We can start with a bit of grunt or we can move the ball. We've got plenty of options with the guys that we've got in the squad.
You're obviously in the top 4 at the moment. Do you believe you have got a top 4 team there at Leeds?
Well, that's up to us to show that, we're in there for 1 week. You need to be there for 10, 15 weeks. So that's up to us to show that.
And are you expecting a bit of a party atmosphere? James mentioned Vegas. Are you expecting a bit of a party atmosphere tomorrow night?
Yeah, but I'm not, that's Vegas is the furthest thing from our mind. The party atmosphere we want to create is through the actions that we get how we get our fans involved in the game.
How far away do you think you'll be to getting in a full 80?
Oh, mate, I don't know. Like you know, we've worked really hard as a coach to make sure we talk to the players about staying in the now and the present and right now, you know, look, we just worry about this week and what he gets through game time wise, and then I have a good chat to him next week and see how he feels. But the luxury I've got with the good job that our staff have done here and the club's done with the roster is that we're not pressed or desperate to rush him into 80 minutes. We're into round 11, we've got a long way to go, and he's, you know, at least he'll be nice and fresh, you know, at the back end of the year. So
sorry, Brad. How much of a boost is it to have a player of his quality back, and kind of on a leadership point of view as well?
Yeah, it's, you know, Ash has done a really good job in his presence, doing it on his own. But you got, you know, like the club's in a good place where you've got Ash, you know, Hawley, we had Callum, Cameron, you know, like Crofty, you know, like your good range of leadership, and then we're getting other guys now starting to have a bit more of a voice around the place, and we want them all to be leaders. You know, Mikolai's talking more. Keenan, you know, on the back of his performances is getting some confidence and starting to add more to meetings and with his leadership, and he's a very smart footballer. So we don't want to cap anyone, and you know, around the leadership, we want them all to have a voice and an opinion, and we want them all to drive the expectations and standards that we're trying to set through the place.